guy here, ready to go and hopefully give you guys a podcast as I'm double checking. What? Double checking that everything is up and running and ready to actually go. Just me tonight, rolling solo. Johnny V has some stuff going on. His son Mason is in a volleyball match, game, set, point. I don't know, ace, spike, bump, set, some of those things. So I'm going to be rolling solo, and I want to double check first and foremost that everything is actually working. I don't know, honestly, if I pressed all the right buttons. As maybe you could tell, it's a little bit of a different setup and a little bit unique here. So I have to be the one to make sure that everything's working. So if you give me 2 seconds, I want to make sure that we are good to go and people can see and hear me. Okay, Dave from the Dyers Guild is actually the host, well, physically hosting me here at his house tonight. So really do appreciate it being here, and that's why the look looks a little bit different. So getting a couple of people saying that they can see and hear me. Doc Zen says, "Who put Terry in a corner?" Yeah, it looks like even my frame rate is off. I think that's something to do with me using a different setup than what we're used to typically using. So it's going to look a little bit different to you tonight. I'm going to just throw it right out there right now. This is definitely going to be a show on the shorter side, not because I don't have my partner in crime in Johnny V, but largely because I'm not sure there was a lot going on. Clearly, we're getting into the off season. You can start talking about rumors, people going to different companies, things going on in that regard in terms of the contracts. We're seeing more players do things like release updates for their whatnot when they're going to be doing some shows and things of that nature. But for the most part, it feels like it's definitely off season with things slowing down. Some of the topics on hand, and I'm certainly going to be available for any Q&A and other questions that you guys have. But for me, some of the things that come to mind specifically include Gyropalooza. That feels like that was one of the conversation pieces from this weekend. I can touch on a little bit of that, of what I've seen and heard. And if we're still going long enough that we can have anyone else join us, I might be able to get more additional insight. I reached out to Madison Walker tonight. Obviously, she was one of the players that was at the Gyropalooza for MVP, which looked like it was a lot of fun. And she said she is just getting home for the first time since March. So if she has a chance to possibly join me with regard to having dinner, catching up with her mom and her brother and the rest of her family, we might get a chance to hear from Madison. Also, I did extend a hand or extend an offer to Dave from the Dyers Guild. He too has some family stuff going on and is in his house, where I am actually in his studio / loft right now. So if he has a chance and gets everything else done, he might be able to join. He was fortunate enough to go over to Gyropalooza and take it in firsthand. So it would be really interesting to hear a little bit from Madison as to how it was for her in terms of being a competitor and a sponsored player on MVP. And then also Dave, who's a big MVP thrower and fan himself, but also a vendor, and then does a lot of disc dyeing and helps other people with disc dyeing, helps other people with that. It's not Kevorkian. Wasn't he from Michigan as well? Was that where the MVP? Anyway, it's a little bit morbid, but it would be interesting to hear some of his perspective as to what he can share with us as well. So I'll be the first to admit I will be doing some. I will be doing plenty of answers off of the board tonight, just because there's truly, I feel like, a lack of other things going on, and then hopefully it'll be a chance to reconnect and get updates with you guys. I may or may not have another big announcement that I'm literally waiting for that may come in during the show in terms of an update for me and possibly some of the weekend's plans. And so if that pops up during the show, you guys are going to be the first to hear it. So that's all I can really tease about it. Okay, here's what it is. I won't tease it, so to speak, anymore. I'm waiting on Dave Feldberg from NADGT to respond to the idea. We lightly tossed around the idea of me attending and being present at the NADGT finale this weekend. I would not be there for the duration of it. I believe it's starting tomorrow, probably already Wednesday. I don't know. I won't be able to be there. I have something else going on that I'll tell you guys about in a few minutes. But I would like to be there come maybe even Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday at the NADGT. It sounds like there's a lot of things going on with it. Extracurriculars, of course. There's I think 600 or 700 competitors that are signed up and ready to go for it that are going to be there for the finale. And then I know I saw a post from Gannon Burr, Alden Harris, along with Gavin Babcock. I know that they were on their way there, and they made a post that they were there today. This weekend. I believe also I saw Bradley Williams. Obviously, if you're anywhere in the Texas area and you're one of our top pros or celebrities, you should certainly be there hanging out. And at one point, I just had a very brief conversation with Dave as to if it would work that I could come down there and take it all in as well. The NADGT is something that is near and dear to my heart in the sense that when it first came out, the entire amateur series came out. That was right on the heels of the Disc Golf Pro Tour coming out and also the Disc Golf World Tour, albeit short-lived. And we at SmashBoxx actually were hired and covered some of the preliminary and then mainly the finals for what was the amateur tour. And that's where we filmed Silas Schultz and got to meet him for the first time. That's where Chris Kesselhoff, not related to Dave Hasselhoff in any way, that's where he showed up at Fountain Hills. Gosh, I'm going to leave this story for a minute. If you know what the story is, put it in the chat before I tell it. But that's where he showed up to Fountain Hills and was one of the craziest outcomes of a tournament that we've literally ever seen. So maybe if somebody remembers it, you can put it in the chat before I tell that full story. But being part of the amateur tour and watching it grow and thrive the way it has, and it's seen a lot of different iterations, which I can appreciate in the sense that it's not all figured out. I mean, kind of like, isn't that like a snapshot of an amateur and professional career? Like it's often evolving and changing and growing. And that's exactly what I feel like these tours are doing. We've seen it now 10 years in for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, 9 or 10 years, I think 10 years also for the NADGT, which was previously known as the National Amateur. Well, it's now the National Amateur Disc Golf Next Generation Tour. That's what it was originally called. And so watching that come from its beginnings and then turn into what it has and this massive tour throughout the year, it's of course suffered some setbacks and then also a ton of incredible growth and triumph. So it's been pretty exciting to watch all of that unfold over these last 10 years. And thinking back to the early finale, I think I was at the first ever NADGT, which was then the Next Gen Tour. I was at the first ever finale. Bonus points if any of you remember when that was or where that was. But same thing. Last moment, worked it out, was able to come out and film and ultimately cement, or forever, not memorialize, forever archive and film the first ever finale that took place. All right. So here's a few of the updates. Dave, first of all, Dave says he's surprised that the streaming is working as well as it is. Dave, you and me both. I literally unboxed the brand new camera that Johnny talked about last week. We unboxed it 20 minutes ago, ripped it open, plugged it in. Dave's got the lights and everything else set up. Plugged that in, went to the new system that I use online instead of what Johnny and I typically use. And for the most part, it appears to be working. So I'm incredibly impressed, not with myself, but with the fact that it went off as quickly as it did. We went from opening my computer 20 some minutes ago or 30 minutes ago to actually clicking on the right buttons to have a live show. So I'm very happy about that. So thank you. So yes, very big shout out to Dave. As I'm reading down the line, I see Doc Zen says, why no Smashy Grippy? Those are awards by the Grip Lock guys, right? I'm not familiar with what all the awards are. Clearly, we've never won one since I have no idea what they even are. And I know they do them year after year, which is great. That provides plenty of off-season content. I think it's awesome. I think I completely invalidated them, though, when they had an award, I was told, for longest podcast, and we didn't win that. If there is one thing that Smashbox is notorious, infamous for, it's droning on for hours upon hours, usually 2 hours longer than what you asked for on a 3-hour show. So the fact, and we've been doing that for 14 years now, with the exception of maybe tonight, almost every one of our show goes far longer than it probably should. So when you have an award for Disc Golf Podcast that's the long shows or whatever the official title was, and we're not given that, somehow I have to then invalidate all of your awards at that point. So no Grippy that I know of. If they have, they've kept it a secret from me in terms of this year. I don't know if they nominate or vote. I'm not sure how that works. And to be fair, I don't watch really any podcasts, so I'm not throwing any shade at them or anything like that. But I don't consume them. Are we still blaming the short show? Well, I mean, at this rate, maybe it won't be. I mean, right? Like, I talk a lot, so anything is possible. We'll see what happens. JVD is a master in his craft and is barely able to keep Terry on camera. I know. Johnny V, though, watching his son play volleyball. I mean, he openly states that his son doesn't see much court time. So I'm just feeding into what Johnny V is saying. Is Terry having another kid? No. It may look like I'm preggers, but no kids here whatsoever. New baby. Terry's just lonely. People got an event. Please invite Terry. I mean, the disco, volleyball, whatever you got. Shoot, even pickleball. I'm not gonna lie. I finally played some pickleball for the first time in 20 years, 19 years, and I had a lot of fun with it. So maybe I'll get out on that court. What's the ransom to get out of the Dyers Guild dungeon? I mean, this place is set up way nicer than anything that we have. That's why I love calling up Dave and saying, hey, rather than me cleaning my own office, can I just come a couple blocks over to your house? And Dave delivers every single time. All right, going back to a couple of the cliffhangers, real big cliffhangers for you guys. First of all, the next gen finale, the first year, 2016. Somebody can double check me on this. I'm getting old. Held out in Colorado. And it was ultimately the final round that determined everything, I think, was on a Sunday. And it was 5 gentlemen. It was down to 5 gentlemen essentially on this card, this featured card, playing 27 holes of golf. And the winner got a trip of their choice to any pro tour event and or an international event, something of that nature. They didn't get quite a tour card, or maybe they did also, or free entry into any one event into the Disc Golf Pro Tour the next year. It was trying to set them up for playing on the Pro Tour was the tie ultimately that they had. The very next year, I believe, was Chris Kesselhoff winning in Fountain Hills. I think that's where we went the second year. We went to Fountain Hills. That was broadcast live. And maybe some of you remember this. Chris Kesselhoff was from California. We were playing in Arizona. There was a 1-hour time difference. I'm just going off of the story from then. There was a 1-hour time difference, and he drove over the night before and slept in his car, maybe. And at no point did his phone reset the time and correctly ping maybe off the right tower to adjust his time. And lo and behold, he ended up showing up 4 holes late to the start of the tournament. Par plus 3 for 4 holes. He was 12 over by the time he got to his 5th hole. Chris Kesselhoff, in truly Nathan Queen Cinderella story lore, Chris Kesselhoff went on to eventually win the Next Gen Championship that weekend and win a car, Kia Soul, if I recall. He battled back from being 12 over, chipped away every single round, chipped away, and then ultimately won a brand new Kia Soul. Clearly, the Nathan Queen Cinderella story of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship is one that also shall never be forgotten. It was truly, I think as they said, literally 0 people in the pools. The 30-some thousand people that filled out brackets or pools or entries or whatever it was. I think it was 30-some thousand, whatever the number was. 0 people picked Nathan Queen to win the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship a few years ago. He goes on to win it. And I would say that now, prior to Chris showing up, and assuming Chris shows up in time, he's an odds-on favorite to win this event. Definitely one of the highest rated players at the time. Clearly a solid up-and-coming player. All of that good stuff. But to start 12 over, and I guess this is kind of similar to what we see with the Pro Tour and the finale coming in, strokes behind in present day world, that he came in all those strokes behind. However, Chris Kesselhoff chipped away. Now you're going to make me want to look it up. And I wish I had the buttons to press to show you guys. Maybe I do. Next Gen Tour Championships. Chris Kesselhoff. Next Gen Amateur Tour, and I don't remember, that had to be sanctioned. I don't know why it's going to be maybe difficult to find or not. But anyway, crazy, just truly crazy that it went down the way it did. Christopher Kesselhoff. Oh, it's with 1 S. Excuse me. And the year 2017. Next Generation Disc Golf National Championship by Latitude 64, November 17th to the 19th. And he, after round 1, out of 68, 69-ish players, he was somewhere around 45th. Again, continued. Well, let's just double check. Can I show you guys this? Let's see if I can show you guys. I'm going to screw something up. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to risk it. Round 2, he had the 4th hottest round. Round 3, he had essentially like the 3rd or 4th hottest round. Round 4, he had the 3rd or 4th hottest round. And round 5, wow, I thought he had hottest rounds. He had the 2nd hottest round. Had the hottest semifinals, and then took it down ultimately. Just crazy. Anyway, some of you guys may or may not know him. I thought we were going to see him more on the tour, see him traveling and playing. We saw him for a couple of years, and then from that, we haven't seen him. He's become more of a regional player. In fact, it's been a minute since I've seen him. I think last place I saw him was maybe out in Las Vegas, which is an event we're going to talk about, one event that we'll be talking about here in just a few minutes. But anyway, crazy story to ultimately come back and win it. Yeah, Chris has only played in 3 events this year, all in, Southern Cal. Actually, no, looks like 1 event and 2 leagues. So has moved on from his, what is it? The question is, what was that earnings? It's not even listed. Interesting. So curious to understand how they actually valued that. Anyway, it's a brand new car for what it's worth. It'd be funny thinking back if it was like some 4-year-old car that was leased. It was at a rental car, and then it was a rental agency at Hertz or Avis or Budget, and then all of a sudden it was actually given to them. No, it was a brand new Kia Soul. Next year, Silas Schultz won it and took it down, and he ended up later selling the vehicle as that was kicking off his professional traveling career. Silas was what, 15? Yeah, Silas the next year when he won it, because he finished like second or third runner up. He went back the next year in Arizona at Fountain Hills, wins it, and didn't have his license. He was either 15 or 16, but didn't even have his license yet. All right. That's a lot of story time. So there was that. Like I said, the first year the finals were in Colorado. The next 2 years it was held out at Fountain Hills. SmashBoxxTV covered both of those live. I guess that was where this whole story started, was the fact that I've been pretty invested, and we've seen a number of the champions crowned throughout the years. Then they've gone to post-production. I know the Disc Golf Pro Tour has covered it at some time or another. I know Disc Golf Guide Channel has. I think Ace Run Production has been in there. Gatekeeper's probably been in there and helped out. Jomez Pro at one point was in there. And just having the finale take place in a place like either Fountain Hills or in Texas has been the most logical solution for them over these last few years. Obviously, it's starting to get colder everywhere else in the country. I think I saw highs in the 70s that are forecasted for this week, lows in the 50s. So to be in Texas to close out this season for the NADGT seems like a pretty logical thing to do. All right. I'm going to double check if there's anything else I need to know here. Terry was not robbed. I don't think anybody wants to rob me of anything. Okay, chat, rather a new Kia Soul versus 10 minutes in Terry's disc golf storage, and whatever disc you can grab, you get to keep. That would be a good, I would be interested to see what you guys would ultimately pick there. I don't need to see those pictures again. I'm not sure. Terry, half a car I don't pay taxes equal to half. I wonder if he is driving that car. I'm pretty sure he ended up, maybe he didn't sell it. I know Silas did. I don't remember if Chris ended up selling that car or not. Go get a Civic or a Camry. Also, not a paid ad. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump over to, as if Johnny V was with us, we are going to jump over to some of the results from this weekend. I don't have to make them quite as, make the results tabs quite as large since Johnny's. Let's look at some A-tier results. I'm going to read through them pretty quickly. Over this past weekend, some A-tier, some big events. The Ontario Provincial Disc Golf Championships presented by Discraft. Saw a post on this. Martin Hendel ultimately will take that down. Congratulations to Martin. Calvin Rorda takes second. And Thomas Gilbert, who came in as the highest rated player at 1020, takes third. Congratulations, though, to Martin. Some names you definitely recognize in the FPO field, with Chantel Badinsky taking first place, shooting 18 under and besting Rookie of the Year contender in Rebecca Don, who shot 7 under. So congratulations to Chantel Badinsky for taking it down. And then a quick shout out, FP40 commentator from earlier in the year, Sandy Hendel, Martin's sister, not wife, as some probably understandably guess, but no, that is, they are brother sister, Martin and Sandy Hendel, and just two of the greatest Canadian disc golfers you could ever run into. So congratulations. That is what we saw for your winners and a couple of the pro divisions there. We will move over to the cool down 5 real quick. I'll just read. Normally we don't. Abraham Johnson, excuse me, smashes the field. Jeez. Wins by 14 over a 3-round event. So congratulations to Abraham. Eric Halverson in MA40 takes it down. Is that the Eric that used to live in? No. Okay. Not the one that Halverson in Wisconsin. MA50 was Stephen Uchida. Yeah, Uchida. Congrats to all of them. On the AM side, over in Rockland, Down East Players Cup. I think this might be a spoiler for some. I think there might have been some post-production. If not, or even if so, close your ears, I guess. Here we go. Winning it, MPO, Cole Radalin. Congratulations to him, who handedly won over Jonathan Borzik. So congrats to them. Gage Styles looks to have taken third. Congrats. On the FPO side, Chandler Ray picks up her, I believe, her first A-tier win, beating is it Tally and Hannah. So congrats to Chandler Ray. And kind of coincidental, there's 3 women in the field, second and third tied. So they actually split the money for what would have maybe gone to second. So it's kind of interesting to see technically all 3 of them got paid out. Paul Oman somehow, I don't want to say somehow, like he was undeserving, but Paul Oman gets past Michael Johansson. And I say that because Michael Johansson's so hard to beat in that neck of the woods, but takes him down by 11. So congrats over in the MP40 side. Michelle Green takes down FP40. Keeping it rolling, Oklahoma Open by Innova. Over in none other than Oklahoma. It'd be weird if it was in another state. James Owens takes it down over Matt Bell. So Matty Bell takes second, 3 behind, and then 2 behind Matt Bell is your Dynamic Disc Open winner from early in the year, Zachary Nash. So congrats to those top 3 finishers. Emily Beach is your champion on the FPO side over in Oklahoma. Seems like something you'd probably say quite often over there with Emily when she's at home in her home state. And it looks like we've got the River Riot 3 sponsored by Dynamic Discs. Austin Bates holds off Aiden Scott by a single stroke. And then in third is Braden Sides. So a bunch of names that you guys definitely recognize. First in FPO, Cadence Burge by 13 over at Nina Bennett. So congratulations. And Maria Oliva rounds out the podium there. So congratulations to them. And that was your A-tier, and an event that's usually has some like A-tier star power and has, I was going to say major fun. That sounds cheesy or cliche, but usually you can find a way to have some fun over in Las Vegas, an event I've covered a number of times. I honestly do wish I was there for this one, just because it's Vegas. Parker Welk just smashing everyone and winning by 14 over the 3-round event. I don't know what kind of slot machines you were pulling on or roulette. I don't know what you were doing, Parker, but you were doing it right. Parker with a 1069, a 1052, and a 1038. So he actually declined all weekend long, but probably average somewhere in the 1050-ish range to take down the Las Vegas Halloween Classic. He finished out in front of Cupcake, aka Jacob Curtis, and then in front of, just in front or behind them, I should say, it was John Ryan III, who finished at 2200. Jen Allen wins by 40. She's 40. Wins by 48. So I know I just said what I said about Parker and the division. Jen Allen took care of some business there, needless to say. Carrie Trotter, if you're getting a little old school like myself, Carrie Trotter, it was a battle of the masters that I know very well. Carrie Trotter goes into a playoff with Chris Sprague and then ultimately takes it down. Carrie, who lives right there in Vegas, super great guy and super great host. But Carrie Trotter takes it down on MP40 over Chris Sprague, and finishing third was Andrew Rich. And then what a battle in MP50. We had Scott Merritt and Jeff Jacqua. So Scott coming out on top, taking care of business by 16 over Jeff Jacqua. Valerie Steinbaum takes down FP50. All right, those are your A tiers and your B and one of your B tiers for you guys. I'm going to look at a few of the updates and see what if I've got anything for you guys. It doesn't appear. Felberg, I'm calling you out. Give me an answer here. What's going on? The people want to know, or not. Silas, such a good soul. Yes, but he went on to win. What did he? He didn't win a Kia Soul. It was I don't believe, I can't think of what it was. It'll come to me at some point. Rockland is great. Yeah, as you guys were talking about, tournament course is different on the daily. Lots of good conversation. Doc Zen said Kristen is out and youths are smelling blood. I mean, just to be fair, and clearly, this is nothing new. At a certain point, I'm not going to say we're ever going to forget about Kristen, clearly, but with no plans of her return, we almost have to pretend like I don't know how to word this. We have. I'm at a loss for words because I don't want to sound insensitive or diminish anything she's done. But if she's not going to be a factor in the future because she's not planning on being there, then it's just something we don't have to be concerned about, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, disc golf's going to keep going. And that's not to diminish anything she's done or accomplishments. I'm just saying, like, there's not going to be asterisks. There's not going to be, we can't continue to always have the conversation of, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Doc, I'm just saying in general, we have to just assume this is the new disc golf. Just as if any other player had broken a leg or an arm, or Ricky's out for a year or more with Lyme or whatever, they're out for that period of time, and we can't play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game or what if or this or that, especially because Kristen's she's not on just as far as we know, she's not just on a break or on a hiatus or taking an extended leave or whatever. I guess those are all the same thing reworded. Metaphors or not metaphors. Wow. Yeah, we just can't bask in that, is what I'm trying to say. We'll see. There's going to be a whole new pack of golfers. And are we going to miss Kristen's consistency and skill? Of course we are. Somebody else is going to step up. Think about the dominance. And I feel like, well, maybe they won't. Maybe those days are gone. Maybe that's a good question for you guys. Is the dominance within FPO, is that now officially going to be a thing of a past? Think about what we saw this year. You guys are going to have very spirited debates as to who should be FPO Player of the Year. Silva Sarnen has a case. Missy Gannon has a case. Holland Hanley has a case. Owen Scoggins has a case. Like, all four of those women, depending on the metric that you feel is most valuable, all of those women have a case for Player of the Year. Whereas in some of the previous years or even previous decades, it's almost been obvious. By the time someone's tapping in on the last hole of the year, it's almost always been obvious. And that can go way back, whether it was 5 years when Elaine dominated FPO, or the decade in which Juliana dominated FPO. And as that shifted from her over to Des Redding, who was rattled off 3 world titles and was dominating almost every event. And then that shifted largely into Valerie Jenkins dominating for a number of years, feeling like she was winning almost everything, or at least all the big events. She has all the majors that she does in her back pocket. And then, of course, Paige comes along, and then making a very valid charge for her for a number of years. And of course, winning titles, world titles included, one, and then 1 years later was Katrina Allen. But Paige, to get 5 world titles almost every other year for 10 years. Like, we've seen these spurts, and then Kristen comes in, plays very well, gets the Grand Slam of all the major events, wins back-to-back worlds. I don't know if we're going to see any more of that dominance. I don't think you're going to see them. I don't think this is also a bold statement. I don't think you're going to see any one woman rattle off 3 or 4 or 5 worlds in a row again. I just don't see it happening in present day FPO competition. I just don't think it's going to happen. We have too much parity now that I don't know where that's going. I don't see it happening, and I could be dead wrong. And I'll say if I am wrong, that makes my job easier. It's easier to remember when someone wins 3 or 4 or 5 worlds, or the years in which they did them, especially if they have a couple more to go with them. It's when somebody wins one and then they aren't really in contention or don't win another one, that can make it a little more difficult to remember that Cam Todd won the 2001 Worlds in Minnesota because he didn't go on to win another one. And a lot of your one-off players, and I'm not disregarding like, oh, you only got one. I'm not saying that. But that makes it a little bit more difficult versus remembering when Paul puts together, all of his in a row, when Ricky gets his wins and they're back-to-back years. That, from a historical perspective and a selfish one, makes it very easy for someone like me or an Isaac Robinson winning worlds back-to-back. Again, makes things much easier. I don't know that we're going to see, or when Paige for a little while was on her odd numbered year run, that makes things so much easier to remember. I don't know that we're going to see any player, especially in the FPO side, rattle off 3 or 4 or 5 worlds in a row. I just don't think it. And I think for the sake of the sport, it's probably good that we don't. And I say that because that means we're seeing that much more competition. We're seeing that not one woman can just rise above quickly and easily and then dominate everyone else for so long. We're seeing that more and more women are in the hunt. Tell me on your bingo card, like tell me, because I would tear it up and then light it on fire if you told me, yeah, I think we've got a 15-year-old Ida Letamaki and a 44-ish-year-old Owen Scoggins are going to be your top 2 at the Pro Worlds this year in Finland. Like, on 0 bingo cards, like those were so far a long shot. With no disrespect to them, they were so far a long shot that in nowhere in the world would you have called that. So I personally think that's exciting. And I think it's also really wild to think Ida got there, and who knows when she's going to get there again. You'd like to think, well, yeah, this is a young superstar. She clearly has all the skills, the demeanor. She has all these things, but you're not guaranteed to get back. I would love to see her win a world title. If she won it next year, I you get no complaints out of me. But sometimes people get there, and that road back is that much tougher. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds over there on the FPO side. So I almost forgot where I got off on this tangent, but I guess the whole thought process was, yes, we're in a world now without Kristen, and will players will continue to step up and play well. Will anyone step up and do what she did? Clearly TBD, right? Reading a few more remarks coming in. Artie says, I love when pros go to small tournaments to self-aggrandize and stomp the field. Play your pro tour and stay out of normals people's area. That's a really, that take has some merit, and here's why. More now than ever, we do have these big events, and they clearly are geared and structured and built for our top professionals. Like you have to either have a card or qualify or a sponsor exemption, something special. And if you're not 10, 20-ish or higher, you likely have very little chance to win on the biggest tour, right? For a little while, there was a conversation about should some of our upper echelon pros be able to, and what are the pros and cons in terms of playing in a smaller event, whether it's a C tier or a B tier or whatever the stipulation is. And of course, I see both sides of the coin. I think it's awesome when some of our top pros show up and you get a chance to see them. Some players get a chance to then play with them. People get autographs. You might draw a couple spectators out, maybe at your C tier or no one's playing C tiers really. We'll say at your B tier or maybe an A tier. They come out, and instead of having 12 spectators, you might get to a 50 or 100 because there's a super pro in town. All of those are the advantages, the disadvantages, as you're maybe just saying. it feels like, hey, this isn't fair. Almost like you're too good. Go where you belong. And maybe it's a bad metaphor, but I think of that argument that came about with the Olympics of, should we be taking all our NBA players and putting them on the team? This is 30 years ago. Should we be putting all of our professional athletes onto what feels like an amateur event, being the Olympics? Should we be doing that? And that used to be such a stage for so many up and coming athletes. And then we kind of shifted to like, we really want to dominate this and make sure we're taking gold every time. So here's our dream team. If you're old enough to get that reference, here's the dream team with Jordan and Barkley and Bird and Isaiah Thomas or whoever else, probably David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, maybe. I don't know. All of those people when I was a kid. I understand both sides of that. It depends. Are you the promoter that's super excited about having some of these players in town? Are some of these players going to add, intentionally or otherwise, are they going to add additional value to your event? Are they going to show up for a meet and greet? Are they going to hang out and do some autographs? Are they going to have some wares or some goods and sellables that the rest of the disc golf community maybe finds extra special to be able to buy directly from said player? I think there's a lot of those. There's a lot of that give and take, and some just that overall FaceTime that you're getting with some of those players, that it's like, oh, I see them on TV, I see them on post-production, and here they are in my neck of the woods. I finally get a chance, and it's November, and there's not 1,000 people around, and I get a chance to finally just walk up and have a conversation with a Ricky Wysocki or a Missy Gannon or a Gannon Burr or whatever. I think those are all very valid, pros to why they could be there. And I also understand maybe a little bit of the frustration from a slightly more probably selfish perspective of a player being like, man, like, get out of here. We got a bunch of, we'll just say 980, 990, maybe even 1010 rated guys who are like, oh, this is, an event in our area where we can potentially do well. And then 2 touring pros show up and smash everybody. I don't think there's a right answer, but those are some of the pros and cons that I've seen throughout the years as to it. Aaron says, I want to play against or with a top tier pro anytime. Yeah, I think plenty of people love that mentality of, oh yeah, I'm going to get beat by 28 by Ricky this round, but at least I got to play a round of golf with him. And I always use Ricky because I feel like he kind of flirted in and out with some of those events, especially being in Arizona. Maybe a better example too is a Paul Ulibarri, who used to play in a ton of events and didn't necessarily only, hang it up at the end of the big tour season, and he'd go play in an A tier or a B tier, maybe even a C tier from time to time. So you'd have that chance. And that all reminds me, and maybe you guys, I'm surprised nobody said it or talked about it. I have to verify, maybe the chat knows, Valerie Mundahano. I saw a post this weekend. If I could only spell now, Mundahano played in an event this weekend. You're not shocked by that, but maybe we're a little more shocked to hear she played in MA1, and clearly she did that because there were not enough women to compete against, and she played, if I'm reading this correctly, let me scroll up and confirm. Yeah, there was no other FPO women, which makes sense why she was there. So she is eligible to play in MA1, and she did so, and she took it to a playoff against Cole Edwards, and if according to the PDGA, she won the playoff. I saw a post on it, and then I was definitely invested. Not enough that I saw a follow-up post to like get a confirmation anywhere. And now on the PDGA site, she is listed as winning, and she's listed in first over Cole. They went into a playoff, and my understanding then is that Valerie Mundahano won. So I love that. She doesn't have the competition in FPO. It's not her fault. So rather than going and playing, and maybe she pays $100 and wins 100 or wins 90 or wins 150, whatever the numbers are, depending on the sponsorship of the event, she could do that, quote unquote, pad her stat of getting another win, and instead went and played MA1, where she, I think, was the highest rated competitor at 968. Yeah, she was the highest rated competitor at 968. Troy Wright was rated 963. Eric Ruiz was 959. So, I mean, she's less than a half a stroke advantage over, say, Troy, for instance. She ended up, when it was all said and done, beating Troy by 7. I'm not picking on anyone, but I love it. I love that in order to play and be competitive and to have a division to play in, she just went and played MA1, and it was a 28-person division that she ultimately took down. And that goes hand in hand with everything I just said with regard to pros showing up at some of these events. Talk about a unique scenario there. Like, you have one of the best women in the world. You're playing in her group. She probably just beat you. Like, that alone, for me, I think is a pretty cool memory. If you're going to be thinking in 10 or 15 years, maybe Valerie's won a Worlds or two by then. I don't know. Pro Worlds. She has some AM or junior titles, but she wins a Pro Worlds, and you're like, oh yeah, back in in late 2025, she didn't have a division, so she played in MA1 and she beat me by 10 or whatever the case was. I think that's kind of a cool story. So congratulations to Valerie on that. Yeah, she doesn't win money. I guess that is obviously the seemingly the obvious trade-off, is that playing in advanced, she didn't win any money. I don't know what her player pack and or winnings look like. Maybe she won $200 worth of quote unquote funny money and was able to turn that into as much as if she would have gotten cash. But then again, if she played in her division, played in FPO, excuse me, let's just word it that way. If she played in FPO at this B tier, and you got roughly 110% of your entry fee minus net entry fees, let's just say she makes an extra 10 or 20 bucks outside of her entry fee. I mean, that's roughly what I guess would have happened. And rather than getting quote unquote the easy win, she went out and played advanced. I love it. Yes, Tim, she won MA1 in the playoff. And as Conrad says, what a badass. I love it. I just think that's an awesome story. And Aaron says, remember the days when JK used to play the USDGC when it was one and only one division? Yeah, and in theory, it still is. The USDGC had a tagline and had it stamped on discs, and was very much their brand identity was one division, one champion. That was it. And Juliana had gotten an invite and earned her way into playing. That was also at a time where there were a few other exemptions for how you could get into the event. One that comes to mind, Teresa Bellinger, I believe at the time, was your tournament director on file, and was the TD, not just on file, but was of note, was your tournament director for the Beaver State Fling. And the Beaver State Fling, which has forever been, a head and shoulders above event for decades, was on the national tour. And they gave, not only could some people earn their way into events at certain events, that's how you qualified, was at certain events. They would take the top 4 or 5 finishers, but then also tournament directors would then earn a qualification as well, or an exemption into playing. Also, state coordinators used to have some latitude as to how they awarded exemptions. I myself was a state coordinator, and I ran a couple different contests throughout a few of the years to raise money to then have a little bit of a playoff system so that somebody could earn their way in. That's how I gave away the Wisconsin state coordinator exemption that was available to me. And so it went to a number of different players throughout the year. So there's all these random ways to get in that were very spelled out. And Teresa was the tournament director, and that's how she went and played one year. I guess that's what I was trying to get at with the story. But there's just one. There was just one division. And the other beauty to it wasn't just the whole MPO, FPO conversation, but that also meant your MP40, which wasn't a term we used then, but you're 40 and older, your Masters crowd. And whether you were Scott Martin, who was a little bit older, or you were Al Sugar Shack from Michigan, or any of these guys, or Scott Papa, or those Stokely wasn't really around too much then, but any of these guys that were Masters eligible in terms of where they normally played, it didn't matter. There's no MP40, there was no MP anything except for the open division at the championship, as Jonathan Poole referred to it for forever and still does. It was called the championship, and there was one division, one champion. And that, continues to be the conversation to this day about how throw pink is different. Throw pink is not really just the USDGC for women. Like, they're playing the same course, and obviously they feel like they're treated like it's a major. And again, that conversation and argument can always unfold however you want it to. But the USDGC at its core, one division, one champion. If you got there because you were a 14-year-old phenom and you're eligible for juniors, or you're a 92-year-old legend, so to speak, pro legend, either way, if you got in and you qualified, you were all in the one division, which is the USDGC. So, JK took bottom cash, I think, in her first year there. She didn't play a lot of them, but she did play a few. And I think Des Redding played in a couple. I don't think Val Jenkins ever did after winning, because I feel like they invited a few of the women's worlds winners to also come and participate. They also invited at one point the Am Worlds winners, and at one point they were inviting the US ADGC winner that happened at the Toboggan. So those were a couple of the standard exemptions that you could earn if you won some of those AM events, and then you were then brought to the USDGC. And a lot of times, before we really had so much media focus and timing and everything else with post-production, so we're going way back, a lot of that was the first round was the noon card on the opening round. So you would typically have, if I recall, like the current world champ, the current AM world champ, the maybe the previous year's winner, and maybe the US ADGC champ or something like that. It was some combination, and that was the noon card. Like, that was the premiere. That was way before live, where now, of course, our last two cards going out are the ones that are feature cards, and we're doing it all for those different reasons. But that was before the days of having live. The noon card was, in fact, considered the premier card on that first day. So, Paige and Kristen played. Remember when Paige and Kristen played in MPO? Did they both play at? Paige. Well, and then. Without getting too much more sidetracked, at one point there was also the ratings-based version. The performance edition is the word I'm looking for. They had the performance edition that was at the USDGC, and that was a whole nother conversation for another day. That's where you showed up with your rating, and then you were essentially assumed to shoot a certain score, and then your score on the week was your handicap. Your score on the week was then held against the score every round was held against what they projected you to shoot. You had a projected round rating or a round score. And so you might have been projected to shoot a 5 over par. And if you actually shot a 5 under par, then you were 10 under or whatever they did. I forget how we did all that, but it was a very unique way to do it. All right. Terry's in the future. Some of these lights might make you think that we're here. Need to up your studio game. Yeah, Johnny V does. I mean, we do have to get past. I mean, we've had this SmashBoxxTV backdrop forever, which I'm good with, but I would love some additional studio looks. We just have a much more confined space where it's two of us, unfortunately, shoulder to shoulder when we're doing it. Kristen is slightly higher rated than Bedanza, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I mean, she's probably what, 996. I saw that her and Silver are hosting an event at their home course this upcoming weekend. I think there's 200 people registered. It's no surprise. We all know that disc golf in Estonia is incredible. And I've actually played the courses that they're doing it at, just outside of Parnu, outside of there. And the facility's awesome. It's a multi use complex with tons of different outdoor activities going on. And then there's 3 official courses with like 2 or 3 layouts per course. So if you go out there, you've got more than enough options for the golf you want to play. I believe there's like a it's called like a red, green, and yellow course, or maybe there's more, and then there's short and long pat. There's a lot of options out there, and I know they're the TDs on file and running the event this weekend. So best of luck to everyone over there in Estonia. Artie says, I have the best ratings. People are talking about your rating, saying it's the best of all time. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Nobody knows ratings probably like you do, or knows more about them. Doc, thank you for the kind words. I don't know. Are we gonna have a special guest? Oh, it looks like it. I talked him into it. That didn't take much. Well, without further ado, I think we can. The man that really makes all this magic happen. It's Dave.
Hey, let me put on a microphone. It's
all right, you do that.
Funny for a second here. All right.
Welcome into the show. Rarely do I have like a.
It's a pen.
All right, what are you saying? I'm short.
No.
All right, everyone. Dave Grinsel of Dyers Guild. First of all, thank you for hosting.
Yeah, like I said, I'm surprised the stream was actually working on time.
The fact that I got started alone, still at roughly 8 or 8:01, and honestly, I could have been right at 8 on the dot, except for I wanted to post to Instagram. And the fact that sometimes Johnny and I don't go on until 8:03, 8:04, 8:05, and that's Johnny who's pressing the buttons. Like I wanted to beat our normal time.
But you literally opened up a brand new camera that you've never used. But you're here.
We're here and it works. All right. One of the exciting things that took place this last weekend, and some people have already seen the vlog. Tell me in the comments if you've already seen Simon's vlog, for instance. But Gyropalooza, and as I said a little earlier in the stream, you're a huge MVP fan yourself, and you throw, and I believe love to die on MVP. Mm-hmm. Give everyone a little snippet of like your experience in attending this and what you thought it was versus what it turned out to be.
Yeah, there's content already coming out from the Gyropalooza. Like Simon had his vlogs. Mm-hmm. TK Disc Golf also did a vlog, and he's been to like some of the earlier Gyropalooza, so he can give his thoughts and feedback of what it was like to what it's now. So this is my first time going, so I am an MVP fanboy. But I did have my expectations set of what it was going to be. I knew it wasn't going to be like a Willy Wonka chocolate factory where you could lick the walls and everything.
You probably could. Just a matter if they kick you out or not.
Yeah. But overall, I had a great time. I think the biggest thing that I liked about it was actually just the networking and talking with people. I was in line for quite a bit, but you got to meet people in line that you normally wouldn't talk to. So,
and when you're in line, one of the things that was specific to this weekend, and I'm guessing they've done it at others, maybe this was the most they've ever done it, but when you're in line, you're getting access to special releases, never done before discs or releases. Like what are you in line waiting for?
So they had a few drops throughout the day. I think they had like 4 drops throughout the day. The first drop was 5 discs of the Tour series that was in Particle Eclipse Glow. And if you bought 5 of those discs, you got a coupon to be one of the first people in line for the beam. So there was that drop. There's another drop that was Electron Eclipse and another one and some other stuff. But I think the beam is kind of the disc that everybody was looking forward to because they did that 4 or 5 years ago for the prototype run, and they've just been sitting in boxes ever since. So it's really a true alpha prototype thing that,
Are they submitting that for approval? Are they not moving forward with it? Like, what's happening with that disc?
I honestly didn't ask enough questions, and you guys may know probably more than I do. But yeah, I don't know exactly what they're sitting on, but as far as I know, they weren't necessarily happy with what they produced then. So yeah, they just,
Okay. Let's back up just a second. As Aaron says, you're 70 miles from it. Gyropalooza is well, I'll just say it's not open to the public.
Mhm.
It's somewhat of an exclusive event. Explain how someone either becomes involved or has access to it. What happens? How do you get there?
yeah. So the Gyropalooza, they have the gyro boxes every year. Then they did like a Willy Wonka thing with a golden ticket where they gave out 100 foiled back stamped that were gold foiled as a entry ticket into there. So like 100 people could win the golden ticket. Then they also had a sweepstakes where they legally, I think, had to do that for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that for free. So I won the sweepstakes. That's how I got in. Then they had dealers, which I honestly don't know how and who they reached out for the dealers.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're a dealer, you can be there as well. So I think maybe like 500, 600 people were there in total. So
okay. And this happened before COVID. It had happened for a couple of years. Does that sound about right?
yeah, I honestly don't know how long. I think it was 2016 they had their
Wow.
first
Okay.
one. But yeah, TK Disc Golf did a good job of giving a little recap for all the new people.
Okay. Well, I'll have to go watch that
Yeah.
since I really don't know the details myself. I was on the edge and I had some kid stuff going on, and you almost convinced me.
People were asking about you.
You almost convinced me to go, and I did have a little bit of FOMO of not being there. So if I have an opportunity, especially after Simon said I could be his +1 back at USDGC, I am also an MVP dealer. So either way, I will have to find a way to get to them in the future because it looked like a really good time. What was, I mean, well, let's back up. It seemed like the entire team, the premier team as they're called, or their highest echelon of players, every one of them was there, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had the likes of Elaine King, Sarah Holcomb, Silva Sarnin, Big Germ, Simon, Eagle, Raven Newsom, and Madison Walker. I'm trying to think if that's all of them. Yeah. And then a ton of other supporters, and I saw like Joey Tamale was out there running around, lots of people doing things. I think I said Eagle as well. But yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. Opportunity for meet and greets with the players, or what were some of the player fan interactions like, or was it just autographs and photos, or what were some of the things going on?
Yeah, when they first came out, they had the autograph table so you can get stuff signed. So they did that for like 2 to 4 hours, honestly. But after that, they just kind of walked around, and there was different game stations, and the players played the different game stations that you could interact with or compete with, and yeah, you could chat with them. Like, well, getting food, I chatted with Madison Walker for a good amount of time, so I had a good conversation with her. So yeah.
What did she order?
What did she?
Gross.
Honestly, I can't remember.
These are the things people need to know. Were you not here last week for the show? And we were asking when we were getting all into it with Kelvin, as to every little nitty gritty detail about his bat box.
Yeah, no, I know someone that would actually really know a lot about bat boxes, honestly, Brittany.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I guess that segues right into you ultimately went with a couple of friends from Wisconsin, some fellow Dyers. Who was that? And
so it was Brittany from Ugly Hand Dyes and her husband. So initially I had her as my +1, but they're also dealers, so that's how they got there as well.
Okay. What were some of the takeaways what were some of the things you guys conversed about as you're leaving there and you're sharing the experience? You guys were both there, or all three of you were there, but what were some of the highlights or the takeaways that you guys shared, or maybe where there were some differences from expectations to reality?
Yeah, so Brittany left a comment on someone that commented saying that it was a money grab. And she said it well. It's like there's a lot of movers and shakers there that you can interact with. So I considered it more of a networking type event.
Okay.
It's really what you make it. You could stand in line to buy discs to scalp it right away,
Mm-hmm.
or you can, do whatever you want. But yeah, the highlight again was just the networking. Like I said, we talked with Madison. I talked with Ben Kenny for a while.
Mm.
Brad Chad I talked to for a second. Um, so yeah, that's I think my highlight.
Yeah, I think that does seem like one of the most fun parts is, yeah, you get to see these top pros, but to have them not in a setting where they just got off the course or they're
Yeah,
about to get on the course and they're thinking about 100 other things, and to know that they are exclusively there for the day just to interact.
yeah, totally.
And I think that's a really cool atmosphere to be in.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to say it. I do feel like there's a lot of similarities between this and then kind of what's been the week-long event. That's the old GBO,
Mm.
where there's just so many activities going on and they have a ton of things planned every single night and fun things to do. Now that's spread out over a week and that's spread out over the city of Emporia.
Hmm.
However, it still gives me that vibe of like, this is a time for everyone to come together and have those extra interactions, because there's a putting contest,
Hmm.
there's a bonfire, there's, dying activities, all these things that the GBO does. And I'm not just trying to make a direct, comparison, but I see some similarities. And then I'll follow that up and say, I think every manufacturer should be doing something of this nature.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like such an easy opportunity that takes work. Don't get me wrong. And maybe the USDGC almost like tiptoes on it, being right there in Rock Hill where Innova East is. It almost tiptoes on it when we're at D-Glow and Discraft is just down the road from D-Glow. Like, there's some similarities, but like, to have this week or this weekend day that's focused on just players hanging out and all the things that the owners are doing, it's to me, I know you're just stealing the other people's ideas, but steal it and build on it.
Yeah, I'd be curious because I feel like NV people, the Gyrnauts, are a different breed.
Okay.
So I would be curious to see if it would be the same vibe for the different
Ah,
manufacturers.
that's a good point. Like, there's definitely, I don't you guys let us know. Is there names for hardcore Discraft fans or Innova heads or Discrafters? I don't know what, but you're right. Maybe it's not as appropriate. Like, I think of like Team Trilogy, which for a little while was kind of a generic phrase for obviously the three brands, but then also anyone that kind of threw and supported those three brands. I don't know if there's House of Discers now, the venture capitalists, but anyway, that's such a great point. I wonder if you coordinated. I guess it depends on how you arrive at these fanatics, right? Like, what's the qualifications needed to be one of these fanatics?
I'd be curious to see like what the different personality types are for the different manufacturers. Like,
For sure,
what personality types likes Discraft or Innova?
for
I
sure.
feel like NVP are kind of like the nerdy types.
Really?
Yeah, the really cool people.
Yes. Cool.
So
Cool
just
equals
saying.
nerdy.
Yes.
Yeah, those are hand in hand.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great point too. But I the one thing I'll say, and I'm very spoiled in this sense, that I've been into Discraft's warehouse, I've been into Innova's warehouse, Legacy's warehouse, all these warehouses. I feel like it never gets old walking into a building with hundreds of thousands of discs. Even if it's literally just looking at boxes up to the ceiling on racks, you're like, oh, these are all, you feel like a kid in a candy store,
Yeah.
right?
No, it was very cool, and they did have little Easter eggs hidden everywhere. Like, they have papers on the boxes denoting what it is.
Okay.
So you don't really necessarily pay attention to it, but they had one on there that had like left-handed prototypes or probably PDGA approved prototypes.
Sure.
But they had small Easter eggs everywhere. But yeah.
Yeah, and that too. And you guys have seen it quite a bit. I feel like it's a staple now that when you're in a factory environment, that you get the chance to stamp your own disc, which is something that I know you guys did as well. Just walking through the dynamic House of Discs now, whatever warehouse in Emporia, you see the racks of discs, and then like, wow, that whole section is going to Play It Again Sports, or this whole area is their Amazon fulfillment, or this area is for retail stores,
Mhm.
and some things, obviously, most of those things are all inventoried, and you can't go digging around.
Yeah.
How much did you have any freedom for other shopping? I guess outside of the drops.
So the retailers, after everybody was done, they had the opportunity to go through not the drops, but the other stuff that they had out there.
Okay.
Um, I don't think they were able to go like in the back where all the boxes are and free pick everything.
Okay.
But it was funny because they had these big carts on there with the clipboard that said big spenders
Mm.
for the
Okay.
retailers. So yeah, I don't think they could. I think they were kind of limited on what they could get.
Sure. And I'll follow that up and say, both at the GBO as well as at USDGC, there too was one of the extra special experiences that you got usually as a team player. When you showed up to USDGC, there's a lot of players, and for a while I was sponsored by Innovas as well. You could, when you went to USDGC, they eventually had to start coordinating it because so many people were going in, but you went into the warehouse, you grabbed a cart,
Mm-hmm.
and you were literally just hand picking your allotment for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd write you up, and you could either take it with you or you could get it shipped home. And plenty of people just said, well, yeah, I'm going to USDGC. That's when I'll just pick up my disc for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing that at the GBO for a lot of the team players, and then also the vendors as well. And it's just such an experience. And maybe there's an exclusivity that makes you feel extra cool, but there's such a unique experience in being able to like hand select. We all know people are particular.
Mm-hmm.
So just even hand selecting your
Yeah.
throwers versus, well, hey, it's October. I know in Wisconsin, when I'm a vendor, I'm not buying any more white discs because it's going to be snowy, or I'm not buying any oranges or browns,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just hand picking, which you can select on an order form, but it feels cooler to do it
Yeah.
yourself. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome.
I found where all the blank white discs boxes are.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah,
Were you salivating?
I was like, gosh darn, those look really nice.
What is, shifting gears just a little, what is new in the Dyers Guild world? What switching from one season to another or one initiative to another? Where are we at in the Dyers Guild?
Well, stuff is kind of winding down for actual events this year, which is good because it does take up a lot of time, but it is nice to go on site and teach people how to die disc. But went with with USDGC, which was a lot of fun because I've never been there and met a lot of people, and there were a crap ton of dyers there. So I was thoroughly impressed, and it was nice to put some faces to the dyers' names. But yeah, like I said, the season is kind of winding down for events, and I'm just gearing up for the holiday seasons. So if you have a disc golfer that you need to get a gift for that has everything, you can get a dyeing kit or some dye supplies and dye over the off season.
Do you have any of those kits readily available?
I do.
Actually. Okay. Well, before we let you go, I want you to explain what a kit looks like, for sure, so everyone can see some of the things that we're talking about in terms of getting started with dyeing. Any, as you just said, we're rolling into this time of the season. Contests, things that you're doing, initiatives. Do you work with any groups? What I say is, for a little while, I was part of the Secret Santa group within the deaf community, the deaf disc golfers community, and it was really cool that we would, get the package, and then we'd open it, and then we'd have to explain what we were getting. And I was doing my best at signing because I know a little bit of sign language, and I'm partially deaf. And just having like a theme, I guess, is where I'm going with this. Is there anything that you're themed come holiday season?
Actually, yes, that I still got to put together, but we're going to be doing the Secret Santa.
Oh, okay.
So we do a dye swap. This will be the second year for the Dyers Guild doing it. I think last year we had 80 some people do it.
Okay.
But this year we'll do another dye swap where you randomly get picked a person and you dye a disc for, and you swap some dyes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about swapping even blank discs, and like, do people are blank and white discs tough to come by? I guess maybe that's the question.
Not as hard as they used to be. I feel like
Okay.
the manufacturers are kind of getting the hint now and having more available than they typically do. So yeah.
And what are you doing on a regular basis? I know you guys have a roundtable review that you do in terms of people dyeing discs and such. What are some of the regular things that people, if they want to know more about dyeing and the things that you're doing?
best is just to follow the Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing a bunch of stuff.
Wait, you're supposed to be helping me. I thought you knew what you were doing, and I'm just along for the ride.
I'm organized for other people. But every month we have a roundtable review. So that's the first Tuesday of the month where you can submit die discs that you've dyed, and we'll take a look at those and review them with me and Brittany, maybe a guest, as well as along with chat. And I'm always impressed with the dyes that people put in there. And I'm always learning stuff, which is great because I don't know everything. And that's why I like doing this, is seeing what other people are doing and learning from that. Then the third or fourth Tuesday, we have a dye-a-thon, which every month we have a specific theme. If you're like in a creative rut or want to try a new technique, it's not a contest, but it's just something to do along with other people. And if you post on the Dyers Guild website the dye-a-thon theme of the dye disc, you automatically get entered for a raffle. But we do that, and I do that every Tuesday, my interpretation. So I do dye a disc live of what my interpretation of the theme is.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, obviously you should be following everything that Dave does, but you've become, I'm going to assume, because I don't know anyone else, so you and the Dyers Guild are the go-to resource to help people get up to speed about dyeing, about where to start, utensils, equipment. Like, you have it all meticulously documented and laid out, right?
Yeah. So the goal of the Dyers Guild is to make disc dyeing easy, because it can be overwhelming. Like when I first started, there was really no single source of information and everything was everywhere. And he didn't know if this dye would actually work on this plastic, or what plastic actually works for dyeing, or if this acetone is going to eat this type of plastic bottles. Ask me how I know. So we try to make it super easy. Obviously, with our kits, you get everything you need in there besides like some of the solutions like acetone and lotion, but it's really everything you need to get dyeing, and it's super easy. Again, I taught you how to dye a disc.
Yes, even this old idiot learned.
Go check out that video on his channel.
Yes.
If he can dye a disc,
anybody can. I am like your greatest test case scenario, because I am artistically inept in almost every way.
Yes.
So, and I managed to pull off what I believe is actually a pretty sweet looking dye. Like, of course I'm biased, but I mean, like, it's not terrible. I have done way worse things artistically than the dye that I did on that disc.
You still have it?
Yeah, somewhere.
It's buried in the.
It's in storage. I know. I have a general idea of where it is,
and it's gone.
And I think it would be cool as a giveaway, but I also think, like, as a hoarder, like I need to keep this. This is history.
Yeah.
In some ways, the first time I like actually made a real dye on a disc, that'll live with me forever.
So yeah, we try to make disc dyeing easy. We've taught probably over 1,000 people how to dye discs on site. We've taught little kids to grown adults. It's I believe everybody should have some sort of creative outlet, even if you don't think you consider yourself an artist. It's just a fun way to customize your disc and make it unique and say, hey, I made this.
And I'll follow that up and say, as a guy who really hasn't cared much about dyeing discs or have any of that artistic desires, immediately when I was done, I was like, I think I would like to try another one. Just thinking like, oh, I could do this differently, or here's how I could make it cooler. And that's coming from a guy who doesn't really have artistic aspirations at all. But it got my mind going as to like, oh yeah, here's some of the easy fixes or ways to go about it. So I think it is pretty cool. So yeah, so Dyers Guild is all about providing, I feel like, all of those resources and tools and kits and tutorials and advice. And I think a lot of people maybe have this idea that you're just trying to sell dyed discs, and it's really not that at all. You're trying to equip everyone with all the right tools and resources to make dyeing more accessible and easier.
Sounds like a giant infomercial, but
no, but I firmly believe in it. And that's why I love to talk it up so much, because I think what you're doing is so helpful. And as soon as you were saying there's a lot of tips and things out there and tutorials for people, I think the same thing about a lot of our actual form coaches and videos online. We all know every person that has a phone can be making a YouTube video, and some of those are great, some of those are terrible, but they're scattered everywhere and you don't know who to trust or what to look for. And that's why we've seen a couple of different apps come along and people that are really truly investing in those. just to, if anything, put them all at least in one concise location
Yeah.
to make them a little bit more navigatable.
Mhm.
Navigable.
Big word,
Navigatable.
big word.
I don't know. And that's exactly what the Dyers Guild does. And you can kind of take it up to whatever level you want in
Yeah.
terms of the actual kits.
So from absolute beginners to advanced pros, I guarantee there's some information or tools or something that you'll learn. Because again, I'm always learning and I'm really in depth in this. And yeah.
Yeah. And so just to put it out there, in case you guys didn't know, no, first of all, Edwin, we're not in a sauna, but this is, that's a fair guess, especially with how popular saunas became there for a few minutes. I know Sexton got one and then Doss got one, and yeah, I think that trend's dead. Well, at least here in the US. In Finland, they're not getting rid of them anytime soon. But this is where we shot the Whatnot, the second ever Whatnot that I had, which is another conversation, but we shot it right here, and it makes for such a great studio setting to have it. So that's where we're at, Edwin. And Edwin, you watched plenty of action here because you picked up a whole bunch of discs via Whatnot, and hopefully you've received those. I actually had to ship out 2 boxes worth to you because you bought so many gems. So thank you so much for that. And white disc, real quick, number one tip for acquiring or accessing white discs. Is that something they can find those on your site? Is there any other tips other than like just pillaging your local pro shops?
Yeah, we do have some white discs on the Dyers Guild website. There's various other websites that sell white discs as well. The main thing is getting the proper plastic.
Plastic, yep.
So you want premium plastic. The best analogy that I can think of is if it's shiny and glossy, yeah, should be good to go. If it's matte and tacky, probably not. Like base plastic, like powder plastic, does not dye very well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can technically use other stuff than white. You just have to use your color theory because blue and some other colors will get you brown, unless you like brown. So,
okay, yeah, color theory. Just get white, you know.
Yeah, nice blank canvas helps a lot.
That is one of the reasons, and you've seen quite a few of mine as well. It's one of the reasons, though, that I really enjoy whenever I do get custom stamps for tournaments, going with a relatively small stamp. Just because I feel like if people do want to get creative with them, whether it's a colored disc or a white disc, they can get a little bit more creative, and that's less stamp for them to remove. And I just kind of like the subtlety of a small stamp, but it gives you more landscape and surface area to work with to customize a disc too. So, all right, I'll let you grab. Why don't you grab before I let you go, or go ahead. Oh, yeah, it's right here. It's handy.
I had it for the Whatnot strap.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This wasn't actually pre-planned whatsoever. I did want him to talk definitely about what we saw for the Gyropalooza. So this box, set this box up.
So this is our gold kit. This is the kit that I would recommend to almost everybody to get. It's got everything you would need to get started for multiple techniques. And the nice thing that I like about our kits is we have a QR code. So this takes you to a page to show you what's inside this kit, as well as how to use this exact kit. So not only are you getting the physical items, you're getting the instructions of how to use it.
A video tutorial.
Yes.
Dang.
Tutorials of
everything. Okay.
So yeah, there is a bunch of stuff in here. You get a melamine sponge to clean the disc off. You get a bunch of consumables like pipettes, cotton swabs, toothpicks. You get a bunch of bottles to put your mixtures in. And the most important thing is you get sample packs of dye. So this dye and these bottles, like if you're doing a clear glue bed, you can do probably hundreds of discs with just this kit. And yeah, there's
syringes. There's a little thing to get the bubbles out. There you got gloves in here. And then an actual pan, a metal pan, tin pan, whatever, to as your bed.
And there's stuff even underneath that.
Okay.
There's a stencil in there that you get. There's funnels to put the dye into these little bottles for lotion.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. So
thinking of everything.
I try.
Dang. Okay.
So yeah, that's the gold.
So this is the gold kit, and you have 2 or 3 different kits on the site?
There's 4 different kits, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
The silver, gold, platinum, and titanium.
Okay. So the gold, he's not even trying to sell you the most expensive one.
No, this is like the
You're doing
second
it wrong.
one.
Okay. but again, has everything you need. And then of course there's just more things and more enhanced version when you get to the titanium kit and platinum.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. And then last thing I'll say before you go is Dave here. Hey, if you've seen some of my Instagram posts and or all of the USDGC action, Dave was doing the recordings, pressing the buttons, doing a lot of the editing. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
You don't just dye stuff. You press buttons better than Johnny V.
I don't know about that.
I think so.
Okay. Well,
we're going to say that he does. Right, Johnny? You're not even watching.
I don't know if I can legally say that on
camera. But Dave also doing a lot to put together snippets and clips and whatnots clips for social media. And that's something we're going to continue to try and build out. Hopefully you guys will see some cool content. And if it looks cool, it was probably edited by this guy as opposed to me.
I was going to say, if it looks nice, Terry probably didn't do it.
Exactly. That is a fair statement, and I'm not even offended by that. So thank you for everything. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to, I guess I'll keep closing. I'll keep rolling. There was something I totally forgot about that that you made me think of that now I can't think of it. But if there's anything else on here, cold turkey, someone did ask about that. I filled out the paperwork, submitted it to Kenosha County. And it was funny because I basically had to edit the PDF and I changed like 3 things. I changed the date up a day from last year. So it's the 29th and 30th, I think now. Yeah, 29th and 30th. One other place. Oh, I had to change it from Cold Turkey 19 to Cold Turkey 20. And I think I then resaved the PDF and sent it off. So that is all being finalized and in the works. Now, at this point, I have to figure out exactly what we're going to do for disc sponsorship / manufacturer sponsor. I'm guessing we're going to have some integration with our friend Dave over at the Dyers Guild. I'd love to somehow incorporate some of the things that he has to offer. You're not getting one of the gold kits. I'll tell you that. I don't know what the gold. I should have asked him, but I'll just look. The gold kit on the Dyers Guild, I want to say is probably around $69.99. If he was in here, that would have been since he just walked out, unfortunately. Okay, the gold version is $89.99, and it has everything in here. I can put it. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you purchase anything, I don't get anything, but tell them you saw it on Smashbox or the disc golf guy sent you. And we'll have to ask where is the best place to learn color theory. We'll ask him that when he gets back. That's theory. You know that's going to be way beyond me. Looks more fun than carving pumpkins. Yeah, I would say that it is. I was going to say it's less messy. It's less gross. Anybody else get grossed out by why is it so gross to carve a pumpkin? Like I guess it was a living thing. And you're gutting it. It still feels gross. It shouldn't feel as gross as it does. Is my take on that. So anyway, Cold Turkey 20 happening. I'll put it out there now. It's a little over a month away, and it will be happening on the 29th and 30th, southeastern Wisconsin, like it has been for the last 15 years. We will be at Gray Fox, the same course pretty much that we've been playing for that event for the last 15 years. It'll be 2 rounds, C tier with 100% payout. Usually I provide lunch. I'm going to be looking for a couple sponsors to help out with some stuff, but usually we provide some kind of lunch, like some pizza from down the road from the bar. That's pretty good. I serve up pizza for the lunch, and we try and keep things moving because obviously our daylight is very little that time of year come November 29th. So registration for that will it's going to be kind of busy. I'm going to try and get registration. For sure, the registration will be up by the 1st. There's my promise. By November 1st at latest. I would like to get it up before then. It probably won't be that difficult, but I'd like to get it up before then. But registration opening by the 1st at absolute latest. And that way I'm also not holding on to all your money for too long, which I kind of like. Feels weird to hold on for too long. So registration will come on the 1st, and then so it'll be pros, all pro divisions, and advanced men. I think is usually what I do. All pros plus advanced MA1 are all on Saturday with all other divisions on Sunday, or is it all advanced divisions on Saturday? I think it's maybe all pro and advanced divisions Saturday with everyone else on Sunday. And then usually on Saturday, there is another course. It's always there, whether it's Saturday or not. There's the Red Fox course, which is right in the same parking lot. It's just a few feet away from where Gray Fox starts. That's a 9-hole course, and I offer a flex start, and you play through the 9-hole course twice, and then obviously you're getting a rated round for that as well. And that's a separate tournament in being a flex start. So maybe you can't commit the whole day on Saturday or Sunday to come play, but you could show up and quickly get in a flex start tournament. I was going to say round tournament. You could get in a flex start tournament in an hour and a half or 2 hours at your leisure on that Saturday. So I've been offering that the last few years, and we've seen anywhere from 25 to 70 people come play in the flex start. So that will be an option as well. That'll be the Red Flex or the Flex at Red Fox. And then we're also running Cold Turkey at Gray Fox. I know, clever naming that I wasn't part of. All right, one quick thing before, it's all kind of an after show, so maybe there won't be one. One quick thing that I will talk about is tomorrow. I'm heading about 2 hours west, tomorrow being Thursday, the 29th, depending on when you're listening to this, I guess. I'm heading 2 hours northwest to Wisconsin Dells, America's favorite water park state area, not state, water park area. The Dells, Lake Delton, the Dells, where there's the one of the largest collections of water parks anywhere in the world. And Noah's Ark is America's largest water park, I think is what it's called. But I'll be in the Dells, and what's happening there is this is the annual convention this year where all the physical education teachers get together and they do programming and continuing education. So when your kids aren't in school, or you got to skip school or not have school for a couple days in late October-ish, it was big. A lot of teachers are going to their various continuing education programs, or they have options to, regardless of your what's the word, academics, whatever whatever your subject matter is. There's probably some form of continuing education in some capacity. And physical education teachers, I don't know why I feel bad calling them phy ed teachers or gym teachers, but physical educators go to this show in particular, and it's called the Wisconsin Physical Education Show. It used to be Wisconsin Association for Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. It used to be called WAPRD. They've now shortened it. And this is where vendors are set up. First of all, they have teachers sign up and go to different seminars and classes, 50-minute segments, 45-minute segments, and they have all these breakout rooms. And if you want to go learn more about what is going on in the world of heart rate monitors, or you want to go talk about new ways to implement and be inclusive in the weightlifting room, whatever, there's a million different things, seminars that teachers can be teaching. And these are all kind of best practices or ways that teachers are sharing ideas with one another. They do that for 2 or 3 straight days. Well, during basically a day and a half of this convention, there's also a ballroom or two that is set up with vendors. And you have vendors from everyone selling books to plastic bowling pins to heart rate monitors, people selling portable or permanent rock wall structures that get mounted, to every piece of physical, or I was going to say gym equipment, to every piece of work room equipment, whether it's a stationary bike or a treadmill or one of the other million things that I love to use. All of those different vendors and people are available. And you get a booth and you set up for the day and a half or so now, and during vending time. And then usually in between their show times or their breakout sessions, they have a little bit of time in between those breakout sessions, or sometimes you just flat out skip a breakout session. So instead of having 6 breakout sessions consecutively, you may skip the third and the fourth breakout session. And that's when you, as a educator or as a someone else within the school district may come and then walk around the vendor area, and that's where they learn about all these different things. Long-winded way of saying I'll be there with disc golf for the 22nd year or so. I haven't been to every single show. We've had other representation, but basically I've been going to this show for 20 plus years and meeting with these teachers, principals, athletic directors, coaches, you name it. And as they're walking around, they're looking at different things that are either available for sale or curriculums that they can buy into or programs they can sign their class or their school district up for. And those are the types of things that are happening there. And clearly, as you can imagine, after now 20 years of this and the massive growth that we've seen in disc golf, I went from going to this in 2003, where they walked up to me and thought looked at me like, what? They'd ring the chains on one of only like 2 baskets that existed practically in disc golf. They'd ring the chains, or they'd look at the disc or something, or they'd ask what it is or how it's played, and they think it's totally crazy. Fast forward a couple years, a couple more years, a decade goes by. I've now installed courses at 10, 15, 20 different schools and sold a number of either portable baskets and or discs or disc and baskets, to now we're to the point where school districts will come up, hopefully, and they'll just say, hey, our kids love this. We need one on our school grounds. We have room. Half the time they'll say, well, we got a soccer field. Can we play on that? I'm like, no, we can't mount baskets on soccer fields. Even if we pull them out, you're still going to have a little collar, a metal collar in the ground. But I'll follow up and say, oh, do you have a little bit of room? Do you have some perimeter around the school? Is there some space that we could use, that has a little bit of woods or some elevation or something? And I'm very blessed that I live in Wisconsin, so a lot of that is actually probably more common than you think, that we have a little bit of space. And I'll help them with either course stuff or sometimes they just want rules. Hey, we've been playing this for 2 years. We bought this stuff online 2 years ago. I go, why didn't you get it from us? But we bought it online. We've got some discs. We've got some portable baskets. I just don't think I know the rules. Or, what do we do with this? Or should they have drivers? Or do we need more of these? How does a marker actually get used? Like, now we very much have transitioned from a what in the world is this and what crazy thing are you trying to sell us on or inform us of, to, hey, we're interested, we're all in, we want it, we need to replace it, like whatever the case might be. I mean, there's a number of teachers that will come up to me and say, oh yeah, we've been doing this for a couple of years, and at least 20 of our discs or frisbees are on the roof, is what they'll say. We need to order 25 more or 50 more or whatever. Just the fact that we've come full circle in a lot of that, like almost no person will walk up to me tomorrow or on Thursday and look at me completely blank, like they have no idea what this chain basket contraption is. And I'll have a metal portable basket, actually one that I won from Ledgestone many years ago in the raffle. I'll have a portable basket in that sense, a metal one. And then I'll also have, which I tell them they can convert and put in the ground. And then I'll also have a collapsible one, whether it's a DGA Mach Light or it's an Innova Travel or maybe both, or something of that nature. And I'll have those set up, and then I'll explain obviously all the differences. I'll show them setup and takedown. Schools are often worried about, well, we only have 50 minutes. How do I set these up, get the kids playing, break them down, and then get them back all in on time? And then I'll show them how quickly you can, take the bag off of the basket, set it up, and it's literally up and running in under 60 seconds. I'll have them time me even sometimes and say, hey, this is 60 seconds to set up and 60 seconds to break down. You get 2 kids or a kid that can carry, this 22 pounds and set it up, and you already have a flag in the ground. Like, setup and takedown can actually be pretty easy for every single class if you need to do that. Or you set them up in the morning, and if it can, it's great that they can just be set up for the whole day, and then your final class breaks them down. Anyway, it has been so much fun to see this, like I said, this full scale evolution, full circle evolution to not knowing what it is to now fully embracing it and wanting to do more with it. So that's where I also then call on the likes of a Uplay and an Edge and an Edge organization, Jay, Des, Dustin, Zoe, because if they want more in depth than what I'm trying to provide, if they want to take it to the next level, or they're really looking for something additional that I may or may not be around for, it's great to know now that both Edge and Uplay have built out systems, uh, strategies, not play by play, lesson plans. They've done all the things. All of them, Zoe especially, along with then Jay and Des, all coming from educational backgrounds, are very familiar with what needs to be laid out and how they go about it. And they're keeping in touch with all the national and local standards and accreditations and everything else that happens there. So I'll just say it's one of my favorite places and times to be. And then everything I just said about the physical education world, take that and apply most of that to me also then going to an annual park and rec show where all of the park and rec directors from your state usually, or nearby states maybe, will come and have a very similar scenario. They have continuing education, then they have in their breakout sessions, and then when they're done, they can go see what's all being provided. And somebody might be selling docks or baseball fences or baseball scoreboards. It's a little bit different, obviously, when you're talking about, a parks setting, picnic tables. Same picnic table people won't probably be at the FIED convention. However, some outdoor equipment, other outdoor equipment might be at the two conventions and have a little bit of crossover there. So kind of depends. Like some of the people that install a climbing wall inside of a gym might also be able to install some kind of a climbing facility inside a park and rec department. So depending on the actual use and vendor, there is a little bit of crossover where I see some of the same people at both shows. All of that to say, if I wasn't doing media in any capacity, going to these shows is so incredibly fun and fulfilling. And I would love to have a career of doing that. I don't think I have enough time in now this lifetime of mine to dedicate more time to these, but these are a couple of the shows that I've been to. I've been to uh, the national park and rec show. I've been to a couple of the national FIED shows. I've been to the Illinois FIED show. I've been to the Wisconsin one. I've been to a number of these shows, and they're so incredibly fulfilling. And sometimes I've sold nothing, which is fine, and sometimes I've sold a bunch of stuff, which is fine. I'm not there necessarily for the sale as much as the overall education and like just setting these people on the right path to knowing what they need. Because if they've just done a Google search, or they've only watched a couple YouTube videos, or their ill-informed counterpart in another city has led them astray, it's nice to say, okay, here's what you really need. Here's some basics. You don't need to do this, or you should do that. These are the types of things. I mean, I'll get people that'll come up and say, hey, can we go out and play disc golf with hula hoops and Frisbees? Absolutely, you can. Does it give the same general idea for a certain age group? Absolutely. And maybe that's all your budget allows. You've bought 10 $2 Frisbees and you already had hula hoops, and you set those up and you go play that. Absolutely. Does that work? I mean, I started my entire disc golf career by throwing discs into red grocery baskets, regular Frisbees into grocery baskets, when I was at camp as a kid. So you can make do, but to have the right equipment to know, hey, let's get you, you deal with, 10 to 12-year-olds, let's get you some 150 gram mid ranges, and let's get you started with that and a collapsible basket. And I know you might only have $300 for your whole year's worth of budget. So, let's get you to an $89 collapsible basket and a couple mid ranges. And that's still going to be maybe out of your budget. But those are the types of things. Or, hey, I know some people in this city, and the local disc golf club would love to donate, 50 used discs to your school. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's what's going on. And then the only question that remains is after that on Wednesday and Thursday, do I go to Texas? Will I see you guys in Texas? Felberg, call me. Hopefully that we're going to find a way to make that happen. So I can be out at the next gen. I want to keep calling it next gen because I'm old. The amateur tour. All right, when Dave comes back, we'll ask about the color theory. Artie says, I'll stop smack cold turkey just for the 25 of us here. Have to head to the Power Disc Golf Academy Championship Series. There you go. I have been seeing a few ads of that taking place or coming up as well. And Artie says, I would love a new ballroom. Yeah, I mean, just move to DC, and I think we could get you into one at the low price. I believe it's partially yours and mine, right? If we're all paying for it, it sounds like a good deal. So hopefully you can get in on that. And it's 90,000 square feet. So yeah, we should be able to get like basically a course in there, I think. All right, I am going to slowly start to wrap it up. Who thought I couldn't talk for an hour and 45 minutes by myself? I don't know. Unintended or otherwise, here we are. So if you have any questions, of course, we're going to have extra giveaways next week when Johnny B returns. But if you have any questions or anything you need me to answer before I cut loose, please let me know. I appreciate you guys all for joining. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything else here. It doesn't appear that we have much else. So, and I don't know if we're going to see Dave come back up here. He's probably got family stuff to worry about. Reading. Okay. I'm sorry, there's not going to be an after show. I feel like the whole night was kind of a ongoing after show in some regard. Hopefully I provided just a little bit of direction. I'm not going to lie. When I came over to Dave's house and I had reached out to Madison, she said she's a maybe because she's just getting home after a few months of being on the road. And I wanted to talk to her about Gyropalooza. She said she was a maybe because she was going out with her mom and her brother for the first dinner in months. And after that, and we had the brand new camera to set up, I said, I don't have anything. I have no notes. There was no distinguishable major event that took place this weekend, and I have no other notes. I don't know what the show is going to be about. Well, here we are. Oh, the next Whatnot stream, that's a great question. I have been bit by the bug slightly. Like I don't have to do them. Like I thankfully can pay for my own ramen, but I was thinking I have stuff that I can continue to grab and put together, maybe like another 40 lot pack ish, and do another Whatnot stream. Here's what I'm also excited about. I would love to collaborate with anyone else that has cool items that have a little bit of a story that they can share with me in doing so. So we're talking about trying to do a Whatnot stream remotely with Nate Doss. He has a ton of incredible discs still in his garage, but with me not going back out there until next year, we wanted to find a way that I could still assist him. Dave's jumped in on the assist with that. So if we can find a way to do a remote Whatnot stream with him and the discs, and then he'll ship them out and all that other stuff, but I can help him host it. That's kind of the plan. We do that right on my page still, on my Whatnot stream. That's something that I very much want to do. And if there's others that, I think about, I know Ricky's doing them on his own, so I'm not going to do one from Rick's house probably in Arizona, but that kind of situation where if it like makes sense and we can collaborate or I can be of any assistance to either hosting and or helping facilitate it, I'm all about it, even though all these pros are beyond smart enough to do it on their own. But I think that could make for some good stories when it was all said and done. If we do plan one, I think I saw Rick. I was thinking about one tomorrow night, and then I remembered I'm not home. But I saw Rick's doing one at 5:30 Arizona time, which is right about when I would have started one here if I were going to do it. But I like the Wednesday night time slot around 7-8-ish o'clock. So maybe next week one happens. depending on availability. That would be my idea, and I'll do a better job of trying to promote it more than 24 hours or 12 hours in advance. So Carolina Chain Banger, I hope you join us. If so, please, just like YouTube, like, share, subscribe to all the YouTube things. But if you go out to Whatnot, you can follow an individual, and then as soon as I get the stream posted, you can bookmark it, so it gives you reminders as well. But you can follow an individual. So if you go out and follow my page, that will certainly get you that much closer to being reminded and updated when I do schedule my next show. So I'd appreciate if you would do that. And so Dave's back, and Dave's going to help close out because I don't have much more myself. So we've got Dave, and Dave, one of the questions was, where do people learn more about color theory?
We actually have a master class.
Oh my gosh, you have it all.
But you do have to be a member to access that, I think.
Okay.
But everywhere else on the internet you can find that. But we do have a specific master class specifically on disc dyeing for color theory.
Okay. Make sure you check out the Dyers Guild on YouTube, and then of course on the website, which is dyersguild.co.
That is correct.
Okay. So that. What else could you share with the world? So your gem, one of your gems.
This is the beam, the sought after disc that everybody was getting. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but the rim is actually larger than it normally is, or the overmold is. But it's like a 12 or 11 speed disc. Yeah. And they had proton plastic and neutron plastic. And obviously, me being a dyer, I got a white one. And it is a beam. And I was trying to think, how can I dye this?
Oh, hey, this is a PG. No, it's not. PG. Okay. Some Jim Beam.
Yes.
So. That, it looks like it would take a dye perfectly, beautifully.
Yeah. So that's what everybody wanted.
We'll see if whatever the collector market will look like on one of those.
Yeah, I'd be very curious. So I think I saw like the white ones go for up to $80, and I saw the proton ones. There's like a green proton one that had a white rim that went up to 120. So
yeah. Okay. Well, along those lines, if there's something that you're thinking about in a Whatnot stream, send me a message on Whatnot specifically. Maybe I can try and start a list. It's going to be tough. I've got a lot of Frisbees in a lot of places. So every week is going to be, every time that I do it, it's going to be a little random mix mash. And whatever you want, I probably maybe have, but it may or may not be that given week. So, but send me messages and hopefully I can help you out. Buzz Swan says pretty Frisbee. I like it. All right. I think that's what we're going to do. That's it.
Alrighty.
We'll see what Johnny does with all this in terms of putting it out as an audio video or audio podcast as well. Audio video. Best of luck with all that. I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you to all of our Patreon members. Like I said, next week we'll have a double giveaway, so that we'll make sure to thank you guys in that regard as well. And who knows, we'll probably have something to talk about, whether it's something from the next the NADGT championships, or we'll find another top pro or mover or shaker that we can pick their brain a little bit. But I hope that it'll be a little more entertaining. For Dave from the Dyers Guild, audio video dyeing extraordinaire and specialist, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. Thank you guys for joining us here on the stream and live for the SmashBoxxTV podcast 579. We are 2 weeks away from officially like a 12-year anniversary. Oh, wow. That's going to be a little bit silly. I don't know. We'll have to come up with something clever for that. How do you click the button? Okay, there's a stop button. I found it, Dave. This won't look abnormal at all.
I'm not pressing the buttons. You are.
All right.